Hey everyone, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we have a few special guests on, as always, because they're all special at any time when they show up. And it's almost a time warp from earlier today because we have JR from Geek Chat 1 on with me and Johnny, and Ben from Drinks and Nose and his personal channel, Sly McLean, as well as Johnny from his channel. So whoever unmutes first gets to introduce themselves.
Jared wins. He's already unmuted.
Oh, is that how we're playing this race today?
Yeah.
Hey, everybody in the Mackenzie L. Burns land. There's no good way to say that, is there? Like, I could kind of come up with something on the fly on everybody's channel for what they are. The Burnses, I guess. I don't know. The Burns.
Sasa.
The Sasa, the unburnt. The unburnses. Something. We got to come up with something. We got to work on that. Hey, everybody. I'm JR from Geek Chat 1. Good to see everybody out there. And hello to all the mad chatters that I see in the chat room right now. Good to see you. Thank you for coming out and supporting another great content creator.
And I win the battle. Thank you so much, Mackenzie L. Burns, a.k.a. Sassy Sansa, a.k.a. Sasa, a.k.a. Ken Sasa, a.k.a. many other things that I can't remember right now at this moment. I want to thank everyone for showing up in the chat. I am Johnny B. Crazy from Johnny B. Crazy, and I am just crazy. I'm excited to talk about this episode and just get to it, man. So, Ben, how's our hairlines? I think we're about the same area.
We're about there. It's a little bit in retreat, but they're holding the line strong as of right now. And thank you, Kenzie, for having me. As always, as you said, I'm a special guest. I'm so special. I rode the short bus here today. But I appreciate, you always let me come on. This is always fun. It's a great episode. To catch my stuff, it's on Drinks and Nose Things podcast, and at drinksandnose or at thepodcastthat.com have all the other podcasts that I'm part of. And as Mackenzie said, I got my own stuff at Sly the Tank Engine as well. But I'm just kind of ready to roll with this. Thanks for having me, guys, and let's have some fun.
No problem. And I think we want to start in the middle of the episode, which happens to be with Danny reaching Yunkai, and she greets one of the wise masters of Yunkai, which I can't even remember his name, and we discussed it 5 minutes ago, and with her dragons, and basically she tries to make a peace treaty, and she gets what she wants in the end, sort of. So let's talk about
Oh, sorry. It's Razdo Mo Eraz, but I did it in Peter Baelish voice, so I can't do it again. We'll just have to do that on the fly at some point. Yeah, this is a really fun scene. Danny shows off her power and threat of dragons, so to speak, and we have her seemingly taking some smart moves right here. She does understand that they're not just going to give her what she wants. They're going to try to fight her. So it's a pretty good Danny scene, in my opinion. I'll try to keep it short and sweet and pass it off to anyone who can unmute first. I feel like this is some weird game we're playing now.
All right, I'll take it then. I enjoy this scene for the dragons. I think their actions are very cool. They're very intimidating. They're used very well in the sense of what they're used for. This is the start of my Danny annoyance. I like kind of the way she played the scene, like in hindsight, but at the time it's like, you succeeded at one thing so far. One thing, and you're kind of coming in with big britches, and I get it. You want to show the power, want to show the strength. It's just the overconfidence of her is a little annoying. It's like, hey, they're giving you every ship. Get your ass out of there. I get it. I mean, I get why she doesn't want to do that, but it's one of those, I don't know. It's just she just irks me a little bit, but it's a well played scene, so it's a well done scene. I do like it, but I don't know. It just irks me.
I know Ben so well. I set it up like that to get him to go on his rant.
I know.
Yeah, and I'm in the same boat with this one too. Danny should have gone on the boat. We understand why she didn't, but her swagger in this is a little false. She shouldn't have gone as far as she did. She overplayed her hand, in my opinion, and it comes across that way even in the acting. It makes her seem like an insolent child, and that's what shouldn't have done in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. And this is when she has her very short list of titles. This is when she starts saying just her very shorter list of titles to other people, because now she has Missandei by her side, which is kind of funny. And yeah, the dragons are very well done. And it's funny because when you see like behind the scenes of this scene, it's just her like rubbing a tennis ball, in a green tennis ball. So it's like really good to see, because this was 2013, so the CGI was really well done. Like the gold, she has more gold because she needs to buy more ships and all that. Even though she could have had her own, which is really weird.
And she does steal this now. This isn't. She just stole some gold straight up. Like, that's mine because I have a dragon. It's the epitome of a young person with a toy they shouldn't have. It's almost like a 16-year-old driving a car, except worse, flying a dragon.
It's her Red Ryder BB gun. Is that what you're trying to say? She's going to shoot her eye out?
Exactly. But on a global scale almost, or at least a worldly scale in this case.
Yeah. She's basically playing the game of, that's mine.
Yeah.
Just.
That's mine, and I am Daenerys and all of your titles, and that's mine. And like with Missandei, you're mine, and like the Unsullied, you're mine. Like, with her Unsullied and how the fact that these are her dragons and that no one can go near her, and she likes that is kind of funny. But also shows her growing entitlement, because we all talked about the one scene that we really enjoy, which is Astapor when she takes the Unsullied. That's like my favorite and only favorite scene of pretty much the entire series.
But that was to prove a point, though, and the way that she did it, it was very much to prove a point. And that was really the exclamation point to everything that they had said about her the entire time that she understood. In Astapor, we wanted her to do what she did. We knew what was coming. We knew that it was going to happen. I mean, even reading the books, I mean, it's pretty well foreshadowed in the books that it's coming. Or at least something along those lines, right? And then the show carried it forward, and we're like, yes! And now she's doing it again, and we're like, oh no, this isn't what we want. She's taking what's hers with blood. Yeah, no, stop. I mean, it's kind of funny how you jump back and forth on it, isn't it?
Yeah,
no. She went from the savior to the freer, the person giving the slaves their freedom, breaking their chains, to a conqueror, to the it's mine, I want it, I'm taking it, I want the slaves, they're mine. It's like, no, that's not how this works. You had a valiant effort or a valiant cause originally, but now you're just doing this just cuz. Come on.
I mean, the comparisons to her and Aegon the Conqueror are very apt. If you don't kneel, you burn. But I don't even think Aegon was this ruthless. I don't think he had to be. Danny seems to. There's some books, like Septon Barth speaks about Jaehaerys in Fire and Blood, about him knowing how to use a dragon without showing the dragon. The silent threat of a dragon is far more effective than a bold threat. You don't want to humiliate these people. These people are proud. So you want to keep them to be able to hang their heads high, but also know that the threat is there. And it's a very subtle thing that I don't think Danny has mastered yet, because she didn't need to come to the dragon pit like she did on Drogon. I know it's a power move, but they know she has the dragons. If she really wants peace, she wouldn't have entered that way. It's an intimidation move.
Yeah, especially like with when she goes into the dragon pit with only 2 dragons. It's kind of like, well, where's the other one? Like, they even question that, like, where'd the third one go? And James is like, reluctantly, like, maybe it's with with her army, with her ships. It's like, no, it's dead. But yeah, she could have done it differently, but they just wanted to use all that money on Drogon, which is kind of funny, and you can still see he's mommy's favorite. If we are because that Danny scene was kind of short, so now we're going to go near the wall because
we're missing the introduction of Dario, right?
No, that's next episode.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's second son.
Hey JR, why don't you shut your mouth and listen? Okay.
No, it's okay. I thought that was this one too, and then we got to the end of the episode, and I was like, "What happened?"
No,
I need my Dario 1.0. Where's Dario? Where's Dario? You guys were both saying, "Where's Dario?"
Hashtag Francis in the chat.
Francis number 1. Yeah, he comes in the next episode.
Well, I think he comes in several episodes, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, and then they switch characters, and then he also does more. But so we are now beyond the wall. Not beyond the wall. We're near the wall. Sorry, because they've came over the wall with John Egret, and they talk about marching the wall, and then Aurel talks to Egret about how life really is and how pretty much with him life will be different, but with John it's not how she's going to expect. Pretty much sowing the seeds of slight discourse, and I guess I'll just mush in this where Tormund basically gives sex tips to John, which is kind of in vain at this point because they've had the cave scene already, and then they continue on their journey to, I guess, the wall, or not, to Castle Black, and then Aurel talks about John again and how pretty much she confesses that she loves John, but in not so many words to Aurel. So it's like, oh, very sweet at the same time. So we got a lot of Egret, John, Tormund, and Aurel, and the climbing party post-climb. So, anybody?
Yeah. So I really did like the scene from Aurel here. People work together when it suits them, loyal when it suits them, love each other when it suits them, and they kill each other when it suits them. It's definitely not wrong. It's people use each other. That's the whole point of working in a society. You use another person. And John not kind of getting how much Egret he means to Egret could be a detriment to him, because he's still looking at it from the Night's Watch perspective of he does love her, but he's also just using her to further his cause or further his means. And it builds up to later in this same episode where they're kind of talking about it, and she's like, and he's like, "You're gonna fail. You will fail. The Weldings have failed 6 times." And she's like, "What do you mean we're gonna fail?" And at that moment she realizes, yeah, okay, I know where this is going, but I'm just going to put the blinders on. Just don't fuck me over, Lord Snow.
Yeah, that's where she really noticed it. It was like, oh, crap. It was her oh shit moment, really. I mean, she's like, oh shit, this isn't going to go down like I think it's going to go down. But she's still hopeful. She's still giving the benefit of the doubt because John's reformed crow in her eyes. But it's not the case, because I don't even remember what stream today we were talking about this, but John's decisions are the juxtaposition to Rob's. He's the exact opposite of Rob. He chooses duty over love, and Rob chooses love over duty. And that's what, happens. What goes around comes around with the playing out of both those scenarios. So it's a good nod. It's a good tip to that it's coming. And choosing duty, and I still love Aemon Targaryen's what is love and duty speech. It's still one of my favorites out of the show.
Yeah, love is the death of duty.
That is a great speech, and Aurel sees it through the tiny little head of an eagle, as John puts it, and he knows John is going to ultimately betray them. I think he seemingly is a decent judge of character, even though he's portrayed as a shitbag on the show. I kind of like Aurel because he tells it like it is. He doesn't hold anything back. If he doesn't like you, he's going to tell you. We also kind of see that Tormund has some kind of affection toward John. I use that in quotation marks.
Well, he wants to fuck a wolf now. He's already banged a bear.
You know, it's slick as a baby seal. He's giving John the birds and bees talking. Yeah. You know, he also suckled a giant's breasts, you know, for how long was it? Was it a whole damn winter? I can't remember what he said, how long he said it was.
Something like that. It's like to some effect. And I think it's later.
He cut
like
open her belly to get warm and slept in there. My God, what the stories this man has. But we just see them endeared a little more to each other. We see John's last last happy moment with Egret here. Just really touching, a lot of symbolism, a few little nods, and some quick, funny quips. And I'll stop ranting about it.
Yeah, because there's like again a lone scene later on where she thinks that the windmill is a castle, and he's like, that's not a castle, that's a windmill. And he talks about Winterfell and wanting to take her to Winterfell, even though he knows that's not going to happen. It's just projecting that out there to make a reaction, I guess, out of her. And then she talks about like the swooning and fainting and how pretty much that he's not a guy that would go for a girl in pretty silk dresses, even though he makes a suggestive comment about what he would do to her if she wore a pretty silk dress. And you can see that their relationship is sweet and innocent, and it's fun to watch pretty much a real relationship grow on screen, because these actors do get married in real life. So it's cute to see like them, I guess, in their early to beginning of the dating phase of their relationship, real life and on screen. But
with the scene, they're talking about strategies of war, the traditional warfare versus guerrilla warfare, basically. Mm-hmm. I wonder if John's going to use some guerrilla warfare tactics at some point. Has he already? I can't remember.
Not really. He's been pretty straight, because Battle of the Bastards, he was pretty straight up with everything. Battle of the Wall, straight up. Hardhome, it didn't really have a chance. So not yet. But I think with the wars to come, it's a good possibility. He's got the knowledge of, you know what, sometimes it's not always clean. Sometimes you have to fight dirty to do it. So, I mean, I could see him pulling some Rance Raider style lessons later on.
And I totally think that it will happen, that John has that knowledge, and he's tried to fight on the Ned Stark terms of warfare, right? The honorable way, the way that you do it. Or the way you're supposed to do it. But I think it'll come to a point where he realizes that he's going to have to fight dirty in order to dwindle numbers down on the Night's King. And that's where it's going to come into play, if it comes into play at all.
Exactly. And also, I think he learned a lot from the Battle of the Bastards, where he's like, I did the honorable thing and I was going to lose. I damn near fucking lost, but the
good. Now go out there and fail again.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
so one other note I had on this scene really quick was Egret talking shit about the drumming and the holding the banners and everything. And as a guy who is trained in like pseudo military style stuff, walking with a drum beat or a cadence so much helps when you're having to march or run or stay in formation. Yeah, those drums make a huge difference.
And I can speak pretty eloquently about it. And the whole reason that we still do close order drill in the military is for obedience to orders. It's an instant obedience to order that helps drive that home. You don't question what it is. When you go column right, you're going column right. When you're, everything has a purpose, but it's driving that in. So when it comes down to it and you are told to do something, it's not a question, it's an action.
Exactly. Hence the reason why, 100 men on the wall, well-trained men on the wall, could hold back 1,000 wildlings in the first battle, in the first night.
Or 510,000 at Winterfell.
Yeah.
Because of the way that it's laid. I mean, it's exactly what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, Bubba says the Crown Men use a good deal of guerrilla tactics, which I think that's something good to point out.
The Kranich men have no choice. One, by their physical stature, and two, their environment lends itself very well to it. I mean, probably when George is writing on this, he's probably pulling from the jungle theater of Vietnam and the guerrilla style warfare and tactics, and how the Kranich men fight, and kind of drawing that part of his adolescence and growing up, dealing with the social impact of Vietnam and the repercussions of Vietnam. I think it's a pretty good analog for both right in there.
Yeah, So yeah, because it's trying to figure out how to work on both sides. But before I lose this comment, Sasuke said, "Indeed," like I'm replying to someone, but indeed, Tormund and Marjorie are sex ed pros because they both talked to Jon and Sansa respectively about sex this episode. So it's kind of funny. But it's the while we're still sort of in the far north, we have Osha talking to Bran and Jojen and Hodor about what's going on with all of them and how pretty much Bran's dreams are affecting her, and that the fact basically that going beyond the wall is not what they are expecting or wanting or knowing about. And she tells a story about how she was with a man named Bruni who one night just turned into a white, and she had to kill the person that she loved. And that she is stopping her mission. She says, I'm not taking you beyond the wall. I'm taking you to the wall, to Jon Snow, and I'm leaving you there after that. So we can talk about this because it's really where Bran almost kind of is fighting against the best mother he's ever had, being Osha.
Can I just give a quick plug? Next Thursday, ding 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 ding, cat fight. It'll be another Companions of the Cup. The first.
And on that note, he is gone. Completely gone.
There we go. Say it again, John.
John,
I was completely gone the whole time. Oh, my internet's a bitch. Yes.
And you did it again.
Perfect timing for that.
Right now.
Frozen mid.
You did it again.
Hold on.
Third time's the
Okay, let's try. Okay, Companions of the Cup. Cat fight. Ding, 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 ding. We're going to be talking about Catelyn Stark. Best mom ever or greatest mom ever? That'll be next Thursday.
The answer is the bestest, greatest mom
but it'll
ever.
be after 7 sometime. We'll figure that out. But yeah, go ahead, JR, with the talk of Osha and Bruni, his name was. Had to burn that whole damn place down with him.
Yeah, she had to bring down the whole she brought everybody's mood down, right? I mean, totally harshing on everybody's mellow. She had to burn her lover and kill her lover because he became a white in the middle of the night for no reason. Or maybe he was a white to begin with and she still liked him. I don't know. Maybe it was like Shaun of the Dead. She just had some chains on him and he finally broke loose of the chains. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I get where she's coming from. Absolutely. I can't blame her whatsoever. You run from that. You're like, I'm going to go as far south as south goes, and you get caught, what is it, 100 miles or 200 miles from the border?
Yeah, if that.
And now you have to bring this little shit back to the border. And you're like, no, I'm not doing it. I just had my Walking Dead, barn scene, back there. I had my, my boyfriend locked up for 3 weeks, and then finally he tried to take a bite out of me one too many times. Okay, I'm done. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say, Bubba Husky sex ed with Joffrey. You'll get your moon blood, and then I'll get a baby on you. But I'll go ahead and talk about this with Osha. Yeah, like you said, I can understand her fear. It's palpable. You can feel it. She just doesn't want to go. What she saw, she never wants to go back to that place. It's a place of pain and misery and danger for her. It's not just, she lost everything there. Everything she ever known, everything she ever was. So I can't blame her for not going back. But this is, your good chance for them to separate. Bran to go on his lone mission and Rickon to get shot by an arrow. So, take it for what you will on this one. Go ahead, Sasa.
Yeah, she kind of, even though she thinks that they're crazy, she still sticks with them for about 2 more episodes, and then we don't see her for 3 years. But yeah, Osha, you can feel that emotion in her. She knows that they're kind of crazy, and Jojen and Mira trying to bring Bran north of the wall when she already knows what's happening beyond the wall, and it's kind of crazy, but she does it anyway. And she only listens to what Mr. Lewin wants, which is to bring them to Jon, but that never happens because they ultimately find Jon in 2 episodes from now. I think it's in The Reigns of Castamere, something like that. And she dips out. She doesn't even do her job, so it's kind of funny.
There's some good thoughts in the chat. If you want to
If you want.
I can.
Yeah.
It's strange that he was turned into a white, and then he went back to their hut, so he must have some free will. That's an interesting question. Definitely based on what happened in season 7, it kind of throws you for a fucking loop. JR, I see you. Go ahead, rant, man, rant.
It's just an error. It's a plot hole. I don't think there's more to derive from that than it's just her story. That's how she's sticking to it. Why would a white go back to the hut where it's warm and not stay with the hive? It doesn't make sense to me. I think it's simply a writer mistake.
I have a counterpoint to that. And I understand exactly where you're coming from with that. But think about the very first season with the Night's Watchman that they brought back into the wall. The one that came awake went looking for Mormont. He had the knowledge to go towards the leader, at least, of the Night's Watch, trying to come after him. So I think they do retain some sense of semblance as a white, because just like we get with the fire whites or the science white, as I call the mountain, there's some semblance of resonance going on that they can remember. So I don't think it's complete Borg style like hive mind. I think there's a lot more of it with the Night's King because there's a direct leader. But
and my counterpoint to that is I still think it is of the hive mind, but it's following the last action or directive given. Like it's a prime directive, right? So it's acting in an animalistic style to the one command that they still have riding on their conscience, which was to attack the wall, to attack Black Brothers, to get to Lord Mormont, whatever the case was. And it's just a continuation of the reanimating himself again. And that was his last mission. So that's what he has to do.
Fair.
Yeah.
Hell, who knows? We're making it up as we go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, why not?
Who knows?
It's a home setting that the whites have, and it's a way to recruit more people. They just go to their loved ones. Their loved ones are like, "Oh, you're back!" Stab. Ah, you're one of us now.
This is aggressive recruiting on the part of the whites and the Night's King. I see where you're going with this. So they're out there door knocking for volunteers. Is that what's happening?
Do you have time to speak to our Lord and Savior, the Night King?
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Like religious group that knocks on your doors. Yes.
Like sign for this paper for a lifetime membership of the Night's King Army.
Oh, this is getting fun. I can't wait till we get a little farther in this. We're gonna get insane.
Yeah, so that's like for very north of the wall. So we can talk about, because I'm trying to remember logistically where everybody is. So we can talk about Robb for a second, because that scene's kind of short and simple. So it's Robb and his men have reached the camp because they're in between Harrenhal and Riverrun, and they're talking about the next steps in terms of the wedding that's supposed to happen and how the wedding is going to work. And then Robb and Talissa share a few moments alone, and she reveals that she is now pregnant while she writes a letter to her mother in Volantis. And we all know, if you've watched this or you just know it on your own, the letter and Talissa writing letters, suspicious as hell. But go ahead, whoever wants.
No, I'm gonna go with this. One, Robb's just his lack of urgency to get done what he needs to get done. They're already late. Kat said he's gonna take this as a slight. He already feels slighted. Oh, he can wait. He's getting one of us. Edmure's just, it feels like no one's thinking this through except Kat at this point, but she should be in chains somewhere. Anyways, just for sheer the look of it. It does not look good for her to be beside Rob at this point after letting Jaime Lannister go. I mean, he just keeps making bad decision after bad decision. It's honestly severely hard to watch. And Talissa, she could have gained a promise. I'm going with this whole she was a spy thing. She could have had a promise that baby she was with would be the heir to Winterfell, the key to the north, another key to the north, knowing that they would never fulfill that promise, whoever she was writing to, be it Tywin, be it Roose, probably not Roose, probably Tywin. But she could have struck a deal that would never happen. Tywin would do something of that nature. And, it breaks my heart right now, too, because, Rob's getting almost everything he ever wanted, right? He's going to be a father. And it's just so hard to watch. Go ahead, man.
And he's going to name it Eddard. And all these great things are going to happen. And that is not the story if you haven't been paying attention. In the books, Talisa is actually related to the Lannisters. She's a Westerling.
Jane Westerling.
Yep. Yeah, Jane Westerling. So she's from the Western lands. She's of the Lannister stock. I put a lot more credence into the book version that she probably was in some way conspiring rather than Talisa. I think Talisa is more of a standalone in this. And to me, it's kind of a tip that it's a red herring, the way that the show did it. So I'm not entirely sure where it's going to land.
I love hating on her.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think they, the showrunners, Dave and Dan, did play up the Talisa thing as a red herring because everybody was looking for it because we know the Jane Westerling and her mother. And again, in the books, I don't think Jane Westerling was in on the plan. I think she truly did love Rob. And because I just went through the Catelyn chapters, because I'm doing character by character, and it talks about when they leave her at Riverrun, she comes riding out to meet him, and because she's like, "Take me with you, please," and she's like begging, kind of thing. So I don't think she was in on the plan. Her mother definitely was, but I don't think she was. I think she was just a pawn in the game. Just personally,
everybody's playing their role around her, but she was honest and true in her feelings and her belief. So
exactly,
I would agree with that. It's kind of. But definitely something is afoot with others in their proximity.
Yes, absolutely. And I think they were taking those others and tying them into Talisa to make show watchers, book readers, watching the show think, okay, she's a spy. It's going to happen. They're going to turn her and make her the evil character. And that's why I think they did that a lot too, because there was a lot of hate on Kat too. And Rob was like looked as kind of dumb moves. But like personally for me, and we'll talk about this later, next week, but that was the part of the whole scene that got me was her taking it,
right. They also I don't think Dan and Dave wanted to tip off everybody for the long play that was Shay. I think that's really part of what this is, because they didn't want to give the hint that betrayal would be coming, which at this point it's still very much in the future of what's going on. But I really think that part of what Dan and Dave had to do and cut has a lot to do with giving away later big plot points for other characters if they did too much with some of the other subplots that set up our knowledge for going in the books, where you have the ability to do it in the books. You can't do it in a show.
Exactly. No, and very well said. I completely agree. One other topic I kind of wanted to cover, Sasa K brought it up in the chat for nominations for Best Butts of Season 3. We get 2 nominations from this scene, and I will give it to Rob. Damn good butt. Not going to be Talisa, though. Sorry. That one just not going to win. But I will give him a nomination.
Yeah, for the people who don't know, for my, I think it was my 200 sub stream, we talked about all of Season 1, and we did Best Butt. One of the categories was Best Butt of Season 1, and I think the overarching winner was Khal Drogo. So I'm not surprised.
No, it was Septa Mordain. I'm sorry.
You and Septa.
Oh my god, I can't believe you just said that. That's hilarious, though.
I'm just waiting for Septa and Umbrella to get on that list.
She's never popping in. That's the sad part. We're never going to get her.
No booty popping with Septa. But then also people are talking about Jaime in this too as well. Like Jaime having a good butt for this part of this.
Yeah, no, we get Jaime's ass in this. in the episode before, right?
Yeah, and Brienne butt too. So.
And Brienne, yeah, because she stands up to catch him in the pool or in the bath, whatever you want to call it, the Roman bath.
All the butts coming out, and I got, and also too, John and Egret, both were all of them too. So it's like
this is gonna be a tough season. This is gonna be tough. Yeah,
and we have to catch up for season 2, even though there was not as many butts. But
yeah,
how many butts did you just butt in there?
I don't know. Too many.
Has anybody talked about the Chicago Bears and Dick Butkus yet?
Yeah.
What about Beavis and Butthead? Come on now.
But, yeah, with Rob and all of this stuff, like, he has to, like, realize that what he's doing with Edmure, like, me and Johnny had talked about this when we reviewed The Climb, was that he's pushing his uncle onto something that he wasn't supposed to do in the first place, like, marrying Rosalind Frey and how no one knows, well, the Freys know what she looks like, but no one in the world knows what she looks like, and having Edmure basically pushed onto this is hard. But he's just kind of like gets to do whatever he wants and just pushes everything onto Edmure, which is good and bad at the same time, especially when the Red Wedding, aka Reigns of Castamere, shows up. And she's still suspicious to me, though, Talissa, with the writing, and if it was in what is it, Valyrian or whatever, I think the whole message.
So I did have a quick question for the panel, just something that just popped in my head and kind of working it out. So everybody knows the theory on the Blackfish, why he never wanted to marry, correct? That he's not a fan of the female persuasion kind of thing. And I'm not saying it's genetic.
It's implied that he's homosexual.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
He never had a lot of friends, though.
Could it be possible, though, that Edmure, he's also trying to play this up of Edmure not wanting to get married? Because Edmure's fought almost every marriage. He's never fought it as hard, but Seven Strings, Thomas Seven Strings song, it might not have been the alcohol. Just something I just popped in my head. Never really thought about it before, and I'm not, again, nothing wrong with it, but just maybe a underlying current.
And I'll go this way with the Blackfish. I mean, I know that the implications of what people have said and implying or inferring that he's homosexual. I don't think he is. I think he was literally married to the house words, being the second born son. He's never going to inherit River Run. He's never going to do that. So he married warfare, and warcraft and how to do it. So he took his own Night's Watch vows, basically, to be a consummate warrior and professional soldier. And that's really kind of what I think it is. It's not that he's actually homosexual. In a modern day iteration, he'd be like General Mattis, who's a now former Secretary of Defense and a very prolific general in the Marine Corps. I served under him, and he was very much married to the craft of war. And that's how I kind of view Blackfish, was in that same vein.
Yeah, that's just not really having any sort of sexual drive. I know people like that just aren't really interested in it. They'll do it. I mean, it's hard to say, but if he was gay, there would be a mention of him having like these best friends along the way. Just like we hear with Rayella, with all of her favorites. We hear a few other people with their favorites or their concubines. So I don't subscribe to the Blackfish necessarily being gay. If he was, it doesn't really matter, but I don't see either one there. I just think he really doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, well, we had that mention of Olenna in episode 6 with the whole her talking about her grandson being pretty much openly gay.
Yeah, a sword swallower through and through.
Yeah, so there's not really historical information about.
Well, in that same scene, she's talking to Tywin about it. Like, what, you never had a go at it? And Tywin's just mortified at even the mentioning of something like that happening. I mean, it's just, it's kind of funny to play with that. I mean, even in modern society, people still have that kind of aversion to it, where it's, a lot of people are like, oh, it's pretty much a normal thing at this point. I mean, whatever your orientation is your orientation. It doesn't make a difference. It certainly doesn't matter. It's just kind of funny that, Tywin being mortified shows the further you get south at Westeros, the more open it is, whether it's in Highgarden or Dorne, right? It doesn't matter if you're going south. So, it's just kind of a thing out there.
Yeah, if you go south, you can go south both ways. It's funny with Blackfish because he runs away pretty much after the Red Wedding. We don't see him for a while, so he's gone into hiding. So who knows?
And now Mackenzie locked up.
Oh, Cylon time.
Oh, I went Cylon. Oh, it's just you don't know where he goes after like 2 episodes from now anyway, so who knows? But yeah, now we're gonna have apparently a best butts of Game of Thrones stream coming up soon, I guess.
Man, that's a hard one.
Fans demand it.
Well said, JR.
Hard and tight.
Right.
Like a toiga.
They're like a snare drum.
You can pop a quarter off that.
Right?
Now we have the weirdest Google searches.
I'm not gonna lie. If I can figure out a way to not get YouTube banned, I might pull a Sweet 16 on that. Because you have to have visual aids. Come on.
Yeah, you can't.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, you just got to do it in a way where you only show it for
Don't make me pull up the app. I can pull up some visual aids immediately right now. If that's what you want.
No,
stop.
Stop.
I got a good picture of Lancel and Renly.
Lancel's ass. Lancel's is not that great. I'm sorry. Almost everybody other than Lancel has a better ass, and that's including the one Septon who gets beat down the street for playing with the 7 in the horror house, right? Like Lancel's ass is so flat, it like was a 2x4.
How can he ride a horse and break his spine? Just
right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like
he has the Hank Hill butt.
No peach butt.
And obviously, when he went to the Faith of the 7, all he did was squats and lifted because he was like ripped the next time we see him from his skinny little punk giving Robert some wine to get him jacked up and a boar to run over him. And then the next we see him, he's getting carved in the forehead. And he's like, yeah! I don't even know what to do with it.
That's what happens when you inject pure bull testosterone into your body.
Yeah. Oh, man.
It's a Meister's specialty. You get it on the DL, man.
The Stranger and the Maiden, of course.
Yes. So the next kind of Riverlands-ish scene that we have is Arya, Loras, and Beric discuss what happens with Gendry and how they're going to go for a lion hunt. But Arya ends up being captured by the Hound. And then we can also, in that same chunk, talk about Reek and Theon and how Reek was basically seduced to lose his favorite toy in the end of it. Well,
go ahead and you can talk about Arya, Ben, and your son. Just let it go.
All right. So first, with Arya, I dig this scene because it has one of the best lines in the show. He's not my one true god. Oh yeah, who is? Death. Yes. Psycho killer Arya. This is where it's not where you start, but it's the build. And I love Psycho killer Arya. A lot of people are like, it's overplayed. I don't give a shit. I want her to go American Psycho, dance to some Huey Lewis in the News as she's
put some lotion on its skin.
Oh yeah, put some lotion on its skin, and I want her to ask Cersei, "Do you want to play a game?" I want every trope from Arya just going forward.
You gotta give me the Auto Trader. I don't put the lotion on the skin, man. Joe Dirt reference. Oh, I ain't seen this one, man.
Yeah, and so I guess, and going to the next scene of, yes, my son in the future, baby Ramsay, I guess that's a new term for a cock tease. There's a new definition for it. You gotta get it up to find it. So, that was so mean. Because it was implied in the books It was only ever implied in the books. It was never officially said. And yeah, that one, even for me, for my taste of my love for the true Lord of the North, Ramsay Bolton, yeah, that one was a bit too much.
And my issue with it is the show put themselves and painted themselves in the corner where they had to do it. That it was no longer a question mark, where it's loosely inferred in the books. Mm-hmm. They had to make it slam cut definite in the show. And then it has to do with a lot of the sexual relationships that were put to females with rape and misogyny and everything else. Like they had to give a counterpoint or a balance to it. And so they had to do to Theon what was only implied in the books. And it was because of what they had done to female characters prior to that.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. I mean, it was needed for what the show has done. It was just like, damn it, dude. Can
we still be pissed off that they ruined so many characters with making it look as rapey as it was? Like there is nowhere near that much rape in the books.
No,
but watching the show, you would think that everybody's just rape. Oh, and that's not the case at all.
Yeah,
you didn't hear Theon say yes. Consented. He didn't consent to the last part.
In fairness, he didn't consent to the first part.
It's hard to make jokes about that right now, especially like in the Me Too movement and everything else that's coming out. Like it's really hard to even make jokes about it. But unfortunately, Dan and Dave brought that on themselves by changing character story arcs the way they did, and they deserved every bit of fodder that they got for it with the raping, like Dany being raped on her wedding night, which was totally not the case. She absolutely wanted Drogo that night.
Yeah, or Cersei and Jaime in front of Joffrey,
Yeah, that was not rape whatsoever in the books. It was the last time that they consensually had sex, period. The last time they had sex at all, let alone consent or rape. It's just Dan and Dave reaped what they sowed on that, unfortunately, and they had to do what they had to do to make it right by everybody. And as Brawler just pointed out, they had to answer. They had to come to atone for their sins.
Yeah, and it kind of plays back to the thing of David and Dan aren't great with subtleties, such as in the books, it's implied Renly and Loras had their relationship. Dan and Dave just, here we go. It's official.
It's overt. Yeah, we're making it canon now.
Exactly. And same with Theon. It's overt that he's been castrated, but now it's canon. And so, I mean, I get it. It's like, fine. What? Don't leave the questions out.
It brings a whole new hashtag to Dick in the Box.
Yeah, because it's there, and it's wrapped up nice. I wonder if he put any embalming fluid on it. Anything.
He probably pumped it up before he said it just because.
Maybe some salt. But
if he was smart, he would have said some mustard with it, right?
Technically, too, Theon just really got teased here. It was a gratuitous scene that probably wasn't that necessary, honestly. But he did just ultimately not get anything. It was super torture. It takes you into the mind of Ramsay, but I don't know if they had to go that far.
And it also turns Theon into a sympathetic. It brings you more to guide him towards a sympathetic character than the asshole who took Winterfell and screwed over the Starks. Now it's like, okay, now that's going a little far. Even for a criminal war or a war prisoner, it's like, okay, now that's a bit. And so it's more sympathetic towards the character because they want to try to build that Theon Reek arc.
Yeah, I empathize with Theon, but I don't sympathize with him, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, totally does.
Yeah.
And Sasuke, or I always call her Sack, and she knows that. Yes, there's a lot more implied rape in the books, true too, but it doesn't apply to most of the major characters. It's always offshoot characters that it is applied to. And the other part that I wanted to point out, yes, Dany was 13 in the show, and we talked about this on an earlier stream, and I don't remember which one because this is number 3 for me. There's always an issue when you're taking historical context like we are with Game of Thrones and what we assume to be Middle Ages, say, right, or Dark Ages. 13 was completely normal to get married. At 10 or 11, if they were having cycles, it was normal for them to get married and have sex at that time. So when we're putting a moral lens or compass on it from a modern time, it becomes a huge issue. And so, no, Sandor is not a pedophile because he is lusting after Sansa. It's completely accepted in this time. Is it acceptable now? Absolutely not. And I'm not condoning it now. But
it's legal
as it
in
applies
over
to the
40
story,
states.
that's where it is.
It's legal to marry a 12-year-old in over 40 states.
Exactly.
So it's really weird. It's still
why aren't we talking about that, right?
Yeah. And in fairness, we do cover kind of the same exact conversation a little bit later with Tyrion and Bronn, bringing it up to kind of just let you know, like, because they have that kind of same conversation about she's a girl. Yeah, well, and so they try to bring a little bit of morality, like common day modern morality, into the conversation a bit. And we'll get to that. I won't kind of harp on that, but I understand exactly what I agree with you entirely, Jared, with what you're saying about that. But the other note I had, that the whole rapey thing that they played up a lot of the rape with the main characters, but the biggest one they left out because they wanted to keep Tyrion a white good guy character. The most impactful rape scene from the novels is from the best character in the show, because they couldn't bring him, because they knew that it would basically make him an evil character in the eyes of the viewer, which I completely disagree with.
Yeah, it would have sullied Peter Dinklage had they had done it. It's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Would have most definitely ruined that character for tons of people. Because he's a beloved character and a beloved actor, so it would have been like, what?
Yeah, and there's probably a question mark there if somewhere in his contract that it says absolutely will not happen. I actually wouldn't honestly be surprised if it wasn't in his writer somewhere.
I can see that. I can see that. I mean, he's the lead titled actor for over, I think I counted them 57 of the 70 episodes so far.
It's him and Lena Headey.
Nope. Lena Headey's only had one.
Really?
Yep.
I thought she had more than that.
Nope. Lena Headey, she gets one in season 7. Eddard Stark, Sean Bean has all season 1, and then Nikolai Coster-Waldau has 2, I believe, maybe 3, through the rest of till up to season 7, and then it's always Peter Dinklage's top build. So I could see him having something like that written in. That would make sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's smart to make that character adaptable to the modern public today, because everyone isn't going to receive that well. To your point, John. John. Fucking JR. Gosh, there's 15 Johns, including me. But to your point, JR.
So many Johns and not one little finger establishment.
Sansa.
Yeah, there you go. Payback's medevac.
But I don't even know what I was saying. I killed myself there.
Something about the point of that Ben was making about eyes in the viewer with Dinklage. For Tyrion's character.
Oh yeah, it makes you wonder why they didn't do that a little more in the show. But there's an actual person that works on the show. I can't remember his name, and he is just the nudity director. He's the one that makes sure nudity gets in there for HBO. So it's not actually Dan and Dave responsible for a lot of these nude scenes. When I've been reading some of the behind the scenes stuff, it's this other producer that's involved.
Associate producer or whatever. Yeah. I mean, so here's the deal. Because it is a paid for service, you can get away with a lot. So HBO wants to make sure that they're pushing the edginess just enough that it's keeping them fresh and current in whatever they're doing. And it doesn't matter what it is. If it's Game of Thrones, it's Veep. It's going to be Watchmen when that premieres on HBO. It's getting all of it. It's they have always had the persona of being the edgiest of the edge. Cinemax tries to come in there too, but they always shut them down. Like HBO is the one pushing the edge forward. And that's really what they modeled themselves after. And that's part of what makes HBO HBO. And so you're going to see a little bit more edgy. So of course they're going to have an associate producer that is concerned about nudity. They probably have a swearing professor on there as well. They probably have any number of things that sound absolutely ridiculous, but it's to make sure that the investors and the board are hitting their bottom line numbers and they're still producing the edgy content that maintains their name.
Exactly. And the other reason is too, they want, their producers and their fans to be satisfied, but they don't care how many people pirate this. This is the #1 pirated show of all time. And HBO is proud of that. They like that because it brings eyes to the rest of their material. And from that aspect of the 30 people that pirate, they might get one subscription, but from that one subscription, that's where they're making their money, and so HBO is not done with any of the stuff. I actually had this conversation with my dad last night. We were talking about the show. He doesn't watch. He's very much not into the vulgarity kind of stuff. And I'm like, after season 1, it kind of tones down a lot comparatively on the sex scenes. Season 1 was worst because they realized after they filmed it all, they're like, shit, we're like 30 minutes short for the entire season. So they went back and refilmed a shit ton of like sex scenes.
My brothel's open.
Yeah, the sex position scenes to fill that, And so I told him, like, get through season 1, just kind of glance through it, and then start in season 2. And he's like, I might do that. It's just violence for the most part, so.
Yeah, I think there's like a meme somewhere, probably on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram. Oh, as I throw my pen, that it's like Game of Thrones sex scenes or amount of sex scenes throughout the season. It's like season 1's like the highest, and then there's like season 2, season 3, season 4, and then there's that stark drop, and then it just
no pun intended.
And then the blip up in when it's like season 7, and it's just really funny because we don't get that many after, so for like a long time.
I do got a question for you, Kenzie, starting off. We kind of skipped over it slightly. Arya's time with Beric. He's on her list now, too, as well. Double check that. Who's still on her list? I don't know if she's still saying his name, but he's on the list. Do you think anything will happen if she encounters him? Possibly.
Not if she encounters Gendry first.
They'll be together,
Gendry's
right?
safe. Some of those lists are kind of get put to the wayside, like the column, right?
Yeah.
Like if Gendry is safe, then Melisandre and Beric are both kind of in the whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like the maybe category. She has the 100%, and then the maybe, and then they're already dead, so I can't obviously do anything.
Well, and that ties back to one of my theories that we kind of talked about earlier on Johnny's channel, I think. I don't know. There may have been too many streams today. I was trying to take the record away from Johnny, and I completely did it on accident. Johnny, you can keep the title, man. I don't care. Keep the belt.
I've had that a few times. It's all good, man. I understand.
Right. And now I completely forgot the point that I was going to make on that.
Like the amount of
like I do.
The list.
So the whole Bedrick thing. So because he's book expendable, I think it'll come back around where he ends up saving Arya or Sansa, and probably Arya would be my guess is going to be one of them. And ultimately, he's going to give both of them the savior of Starks, which is Sandor Clegane, and he's going to bring back Sandor Clegane. Sandor will die saving one of them, if not both.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet, and I can definitely see something along those lines happening because, Sandor's arc is all about those girls, but not, I mean, he wants to think it's in a sexual way, but it's more in a father figure way that it truly is. And I think, I bet he dies for Sansa, Beric brings him back, and him and Arya are able to do something from there.
And I think that's going to be part of the King's Landing arc, should it go to King's Landing, because they have the most intimate knowledge of it, with Varys and Tyrion as well, being able to slip in through every other way into King's Landing other than a main gate. So I think that might come into part of it there.
I'm pretty sure Arya is going to slip in the sewers she came out of when she first got lost and had to hide in the mouth of Balerion, the Black Dread, when Illyrio and Varys were in the dungeons talking. I think she's going to go back through there, and her and the Hound are going to be versus the Mountain and Qyburn, and they're going to have a chicken fight. No, I'm just throwing that in.
No, and actually, shout out to Sarah in the chat. She brought up a great point. Sandor had a little sister, who ended up dying. So he looked
under very suspicious circumstances, and then shortly thereafter, Papa Clegane met his untimely end, and that's when Gregor became the Lord of House Clegane. And
I'm pretty sure we know.
There's some really screwed up stuff going on in there.
Yeah, and so, but that plays back to again what I was saying of the Sandor with Sansa and Arya. It's the little sister daughterly style kind of way. That I just wanted to give Sarah.
It is, but to me, and so this is why I keep pushing Sansan. It's because of the lap full of puppies, the unkiss, and being cloaked by Sandor first in the throne room when she was being beaten.
Fair.
So there's a fair amount of contextual evidence for Sansan, and personally, it's one of the ones that I've held for a long time. Probably the only one that I've held longer than that is Davos being Lightbringer and part of the Azor Ahai. And I put that one back on the Westeros.org boards back when it was still actually boards and not what it is today.
Yeah, there's so much. Yeah.
What is that? Hey, you're going to have to elaborate on what "and mom too" means.
I don't know. Yeah, now that they've evolved, the chat now evolved from talking about butts to now women.
Peen. Now we need peen counts.
And there's not that many as evident. No,
you get Hodor where he has giant's blood in him, or I'm the queen.
Theon, that's about it.
Theon, Jamie-ish.
Sort of, kind of, yeah. But it's like.
And is there any other? Oh yeah, no brothel. A couple of the brothel scenes, you get peen in those. I don't think there's any other cock.
Well, you got the genital warts guy, the mummers.
The mummers.
Oh, that's right. That little shitbag.
And the Septon playing with his with the Seven.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and
Kyburns. You get to see not Kyburns, but old kinky chains. You get to see Pycelles.
Suck on this, queen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That guy.
Oh crazy.
Man.
Who promptly gets his head smashed into a wall.
My goodness, old kinky chains, number 10, eggplant.
Oh, that's right. The Sack, the wine merchant, getting drug up and down the block.
That's a good.
Now, oh my god, that'll have to be a mature audience's.
Oh yeah.
We'll do that one on Twitch. We'll do that one on Twitch. I'll get banned from there. I don't give a shit.
We'll do the cock count on Twitch. Is that what's going on?
Clarifying.
Welcome to Westeros with your top 20 cock countdown. Here today we have. No,
you got to get the real cheese on. Welcome to Westeros. The top 20 countdowns on now. Top 20
you sound like
beavers.
You sound like the DJ announcer in the dime store strip club.
I was gonna say,
look out, everyone! It's hashtag Tiny Danza.
You gotta go for the clickbait. You gotta go for the clickbaiters of the. Hey, make sure you're hitting like that subscribe button, just like you're gonna hit like these hard ass cocks right here. These floppy wieners. Come on. If you're down, give me up to 100 subs. Come on.
Okay, now Sasek has the best. Now new hashtag more cock to season 8.
No, LMR just brought it up too. She's like hashtag cock count.
Someone come on, get your cock
countdown. Oh my god, this is.
You know what this is leading to right now? This conversation. Sasa, Kenzie, I don't know if you're in on this one, but wiener, floppy wiener,
not soft but placid wiener.
On wiener next to another wiener.
Oh my God.
That was still one of the best episodes of South Park. I died laughing when they started the wiener song. It was hysterical.
We're having a great time tonight.
Oh my God.
I don't think I've ever talked about cock this much.
Well, we have fun on these. These are really fun.
It was pretty relaxed.
Bobby, exactly. What the fuck am I watching? And I'm involved with it, and I don't know how. It just keeps happening.
This is just one of the many streams.
I don't know. I just slipped and fell and landed in a big pile of dicks, apparently.
Yes.
What, you fall in his dick over and over again?
Repeatedly. I don't know how it happened.
That's foreshadowing for the Night King's death, I think. He's going to fall in a bag of dicks and get impaled.
I was going to say, talk about impale and talk about Danny riding Drogon.
Yeah.
Well, we're sorry that you were on your deathbed, Juliana, but good to see you up and about in the living.
Is it that
we would hate to have a stiff in bed.
I need a dragon saddle made at some point. Is it that hard for Danny to say she needs a dragon saddle? I just want to see an actual saddle, man.
That's totally true. I've been waiting for that the entire time. Like, why she always got a bareback? Do you know what kind of dragon diseases she can get from that?
Just ask Arya Targaryen. No, I don't know if that's where she got it, but it's possible.
Did you say gonorrhea Targaryen?
Might as well be. Oh
my Twitter mom says that we have to move on from this conversation.
Yeah, we do. We have been ranting, but this is awesome.
AKA Bobby's my Twitter mom, and she wants to move on.
Yes, ma'am, Bobby.
No, but
I'm sorry. This is a hard topic to talk about.
But we can.
You can't go soft on it.
Well, we can do a second conversation when we get to Sansa and Marjorie talking about the best ways to treat a lady. Because we gotta finish the Riverland. Or finish the Riverland.
Hashtag pile of peckers.
Pile of dick. Oh my god.
I had to moderate Terry's comment of if the Iron Thrones were made out of cocks. I had to moderate that comment. It was really funny. But we can talk about.
You'd never get Renly off.
Yes. Do we? Because we're going.
Loris has been stabbing Renly for years.
To cool off, I guess, or we can talk about either the Jamie scene, because if we're going from north to south, I think that Jamie's stuff is next, because then after this it's all King's Landing. So
what's Jamie even doing at this point? I think I've lost whatever episode we're even on.
Jamie and Brienne. Jamie and Brienne say their goodbyes, promise to keep the Stark girls safe. Jamie is helped by Qyburn, and pretty much they're on their. Jamie says to send Robb Stark their regards for not being able to go to his wedding, and then Jamie turns everybody back around and says, "No, we're going to go back to Harrenhal, where." He ends up saving Brienne from a bear. So,
and the title of the episode is
the Maiden Fair. So, we can talk about Jamie, Brienne, and their really budding relationship at this moment. So, whoever wants to talk about this first before we do part 2 of all the chat that's going on about in the chat.
Well, this one for me is when Jamie starts getting new fans, right? The last episode teased this one up perfectly. So the ball is just sitting there right in front of everybody and waiting for him to knock it out of the park. And he totally redeems himself and turns around and goes to save Brienne. This is where Jamie starts getting new fans and having an understanding and an appreciation for what his character has done historically and what his character will continue to do throughout the story. And that is evolving. People don't understand what, and it's meant to be this way, especially in the show. You're meant to hate Jamie Lannister from episode 1. It starts off that way on purpose. It sets him up as the evil person that's fucking his sister and pushing kids out a window, right? Everybody hates Jamie Lannister. But what they fail to understand is what he's already done for people and what would happen. What would you have him do other than doing what he did to Bran? Put the entire realm at risk where hundreds of thousands of people will die because he loves somebody? And I'm not condoning incest here by any stretch of the imagination. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. But at some point in time, you have to acknowledge that what would have been the better option? Do you have any idea what would have happened if Bran had gone and told anyone? Do you know what that would have brought down in Westeros? Hell would have had no fury like Bobby B coming down with that information on anybody.
There'd be a lot of dead children, man, to that point. And we have Jamie doing one of the only selfless things he's ever done. You could argue that killing the Mad King was possibly a selfless act, that he just took the brunt of the heat for and then just wore that as armor and decided he'd be the person everyone was saying he was.
He's Batman, right? In Gotham, I'm what they need me to be.
Great fucking analogy, man. This is Jamie's rise back. He's rising from the ashes like a phoenix here. This is a perfect example of a hero's journey in many different ways. Jamie,
but it's meant to start upside down, and this is how he changes it. And this continues to be a story arc, which is even more profound in the books. The show, I'm sorry, I don't care. What they did to Jamie in the show was absolute garbage. And I cannot stand it because I still have friends of mine that still have no idea that Jamie's a good guy. They don't get it. I'm like, okay, stop talking about Bran. Stop talking about Bran. Like, I don't know how to break it down to him to make it make sense, right? It's just so funny to me.
And so, to their point, because I understand exactly what you're talking about, JR. Jamie, is a good guy. He's a good character, just that does bad things. The show, though, does it in, Jamie starts off negative, builds up to this point, and then hits a pause. He makes it back to King's Landing, makes it back to Cersei, hits that pause, levels out. And then, I'm back. I'm going to go help my family out, going to go get River Run, and I'm going to threaten to send a child with a catapult with a trebuchet into the parapets of a building. That kind of takes you down on that arc, So it's like it's a roller coaster ride for Jamie itself, but a lot of people can't get past the incestuous stuff with the sister, can't get past the child murder or threatening of child.
They love Danny though.
Yeah, right. It's like, where are you going to draw your lines at, right? Like, and that's the whole point of the series, is to make you question your stance of what is your own, pathos and ethos that you personally live by. And Jamie has the very eloquent speech in the episode before this about sooner or later they make you swear so many that you can't be beholden to all of them, so you can only be beholden to yourself. And that's what he's talking about the entire time, is they make you swear and swear and swear. But what if they order you to kill your father? How do you honor your king without dishonoring your father? How do you? And it's those kind. It's meant to make you question your own morality and where you would be on it. And that's why it deals with a lot of morally gray characters.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it kind of ties right into the first scene we get with Jamie and Qyburn, or actually the second part of this scene with Jamie and Qyburn, where he's like, how many people have you saved? Or have you, done this? And Jamie's like, half a million. The whole lot of King's Landing, what I've done might not have been well received or might not have been honorable, but is that better than a million or half a million lives being lost?
And how much of this would have been saved if Ned would have asked one damn question? Like, everybody's always on the Ned train of he's the greatest, he's so honorable, he's so everything else. And like the very, very cynical, deep part of me wants to sit back and go, oh yeah, he's so honorable. He wouldn't even ask Jamie a goddamn question of what the fuck just happened.
Yeah,
like, come on.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll say straight up, Ned's a stickler for rules. Yeah, I think he's a good person. He does what he thinks is the right thing, but he's a very judgmental person as well.
Correct, which is just another sin. And so why are you going to judge somebody for sinning different than you? It's just, I hate hypocrisy more than anything in my life. Like, and that's what drives me nuts. It's just like, Ned, yeah, sure, he's a great ambivalent character, and it sets up what the moral compass should be for Game of Thrones. But ultimately, this is Game of Thrones. Get over it. It's not going to last. It can't last. The fairy tale.
Yeah, exactly. The white characters, the true good characters, are probably, I shouldn't say some of the worst, but they can be some of the worst people because
they're the whites. You said it yourself.
There's no bend to them. They're the Stannis Baratheon style. Everybody's on the Stannis train. Oh, Stannis the menace. No, if you can't.
And the only one that you can probably say would be the most morally white, uncompromising, and still makes sense as a character to hold it as best as he can is probably Barristan Selmy.
Ooh, you got Sam too.
That's about the only one that would go that far.
I would say Brienne.
Brienne's another one. Yeah, no,
but yeah, because that's where I thought you were going. Then you said he, and I was like, But then, okay, Barristan, I agree with you. But
Barristan's very much in that same seed as Brienne is. They're very much on the same parallel.
Exactly. But they're willing to bend when they need to bend. You know, it's the Stannis. It's the ones that abide by the rules set for them. That's my biggest issue. It's no, you cannot be iron. Iron will break. You have to be steel, like Robert, of pliable but strong, you know?
Right. You bend like a willow or break like an oak, as the adage goes, right?
Yeah.
And everybody that stood firm has broke like an oak. That's Ned, that's Stannis, that's everybody that had this ideal. You know, Robert was Robert. I mean, should he have been king? Absolutely not.
No.
He was happened to be really good at warfare.
Exactly.
Robert. Bubba just keeps every single male character putting an eggplant in the middle of their names.
Except for Theon's, which is kind of funny.
Yeah,
Theon actually gets a name. Who would have thought?
Oh yeah, but yeah, Jamie in this, it's like, it's because he goes through one of those things with his character of going up and then way down, like probably way up and then way down and then way up and then way down.
The peaks and valleys are pretty extreme.
And then there's the way up and then it goes all the way up and then it goes slightly plateaus and then it goes down for a second and then up again. So he's went his way down, but now he's on the way back up. And in season 8, he'll probably do something honorable, like protecting the Stark Girls, which is one thing he's got to do.
Exactly. You know, so, and I think with Jamie, he will die an honorable death. I would love to see him be the 1000th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. I think that'd be a perfect fit for him. It'd be nice. But also I could see other people talking like Jorah holding that role. So either one of those I'm okay with. But if I had to make a guess, Jamie's dying an honorable death to save the woman he loves, Brienne. It's, you know, that's kind of where I'm gonna fall with it. I've heard many a theory and everything, and that's just kind of where I go with it. And this is the start of that, because he realizes that he fucked over Brienne by the lie he told to keep her from being raped. Mm-hmm. He probably would have done her just as much, I shouldn't say disservice. He probably would have been, she would have been okay if he had not stepped in. She would have been raped. I'm not saying she would have been okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to downplay that. That would have been horrible. But in the long run, she wouldn't have been she wouldn't have had to face a fucking bear with a wooden sword, you know, had he not brought that in. So it's one of those, your choices in the short term have effect on the long term. And that's where exactly the end of this episode comes playing into. And Jamie realizes that, and he's got one card to play, and he plays it to the Bolton men of, you think you're getting a reward for this? That's fine. I could either tell my father, you chopped off my hand, or this guy saved my life. What do you think will get a reward? You know,
and he jumped straight into the bear pit, man. Yeah. You gotta love Jamie for this. Yeah. I mean, this is super selfless. This is beyond self. He puts his own life at risk. He knows he can't even defend himself. He has nothing to defend himself with. He's counting on the people that want this ransom to protect him, and he makes a bet, and he goes all in and wins.
And it's a real bear that they're in the pit with. It's not CG bear. That's a real bear that they're facing. So it's kind of scary, but it's also so well done.
Does anybody know the name of the bear?
Oh, I remember you said this.
Does anybody know the name of the bear? This is a contention in our show. So the only reason I have it is because I have our notes up. This was the trivia question. What was the name of the bear? It is actually listed in the end credits, but that's it. And
I don't know. It's probably like Sir Scallywag or something like that.
Yep. Johnny looking it up.
Johnny's trying to look. He's trying Google. That's cheating.
I'm seeing if it's in my notes. I got a notepad here.
It's Bart.
I take a lot of different notes.
It's Bart the bear, and he's a golden bear, isn't he?
Didn't he attack someone before? Was that the one that attacked someone before? There's one that's still working.
No, Bart just slapped somebody with enthusiasm.
Oh, okay, there we go. Still, man, a slap from a grizzly will break your face, literally.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I did have that question back up, and again, that's a bit of contention because, like, it happened in the show. It was listed in the credits.
I can't take credit for that. That was Bubba Husky got it to me.
Oh, I know.
Classy San Diego.
Classy.
The Kodiak. Okay,
Yeah, actually,
I thought it was a brown bear.
I think that is the same bear from. I believe that actually is the same from Anchorman.
Yeah, shout out to Sasa.
And it's probably the same bear that raped Leonardo DiCaprio. Can we get some justice for that as we're talking about rape incessantly on this stream? Where's some hashtag justice for Leo?
I did enjoy that movie though. What an intense film. Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's a crazy movie right there.
The walkout, like Jamie gets one of the crazy walkout songs at the end, is "The Reigns of Castamere."
Yep.
Which shows up.
Walking out like a boss.
It's like, and the Reigns Castamere, which is a.
And so Smokey the Bear, Peter Griffin.
One other line of contention I kind of wanted to bring up to you guys, especially you, JR, since I know you're a huge book fan, and Mackenzie, and I know everybody here is. Does in the books Jamie tell Roose Bolton, give Robb Stark my regards?
No.
I do not believe he does in the books.
No, but that's what is said. Yes, give them my regards in a very loose term. And then Roose Bolton turns around and turns it into Jaime Lannister sends his regards when he stabs Robb.
Yes. And
which is leading to sowing more discontent between the two houses, and it's meant to. But I don't believe it was exactly uttered that way by Jamie.
Yeah, like he specifically said it this way, like, give Robb Stark my regards. You know, because I did watch this episode, he does specifically say it because it was a thing of contention when we were going through our.
But little did he know what was already going on with Tywin and the deal that he had struck with Roose. And this was part of that deal and everything else. Like Roose Bolton made the best boss play of the year award here.
Oh,
I mean, he came out smelling like roses, except for he has Ramsay, which is going to inevitably fuck him harder than time. And that's what we're left with.
What did you say, Father?
And I love Ewan Rowan. Like, he's a great actor. I love him. But God, he plays such a shit.
I kind of would have loved to see his adaptation of Jon Snow because he was second in line for that. It would have been an awesome, just to see the screen tests for that.
They should have him come in as Reek. Remember when he took on the Reek persona to escape the assassination attempt?
That's how they should have introduced him. Yeah, I agree.
Reek. Yeah, the Reek.
Reek. It rhymes with weak.
You have to remember your name.
Meek. Stink.
You must remember.
Every time I hear Meek now, I think of Ragnarok. Sword. He has sword for hands. Yeah, that's him right there. Like, him and Korg, man. I love Korg. Anyways, totally out there, but.
So we can either talk about the quick Gendry scene to bring us into King's Landing, or we can start with Santa Marjorie.
I don't know. Is he still rowing?
No. This is before rowing. This is with him and with Mel. She shows him his father's house. We can.
Oh, right. Okay. Thing. Yeah, they're going around King's Landing. That's right.
So they take the boat to King's Landing. Reveals that he's Robert Baratheon's son, because this is after she says you'll make kings rise and fall in the climb. And she says
make something else happen with that cock of yours again.
Make something else rise and fall too.
Exactly.
The power of kings.
Well, he needs to get to work doing some building a relationship with some damn one quick in season 8 because they should have did something if he was going to have a relationship. Had something in passing. In season 7, in my opinion.
Here's the thing, and I wanted to ask the panel on this one with the Gendry, theory of show-wise, show only, not book, but show only. We were told
my answer is yes.
Yeah, Cersei had a black-haired child that looked just like Robert. She was told he was dead. He was taken from her arms, and she never saw him again.
Gendry.
Yeah, that's. I think it's a show.
She had yellow hair. She used to sing to me. She was a bar wench, which wasn't true. It was probably Cersei seeing her only son.
Yeah.
And that was probably done by Tywin and done by, that would be my show theory. I mean, it was probably been done by Tywin or somebody who knew what was going on and wanted it. Somebody
Pycelle, maybe.
Pycelle. I think the one who would be most advantageous for would be Varys, though.
I do too, but
that would be the one that kind of makes sense to me if Varys did it.
But he would know, and so we would. I'm waiting to see the first sign of Jaime meeting Gendry or Varys meeting Gendry. One of those two in season 8, and I think those first two meetings, one of those two first meetings, is going to be a huge giveaway of who Gendry really is.
Yeah, and in the show, I really don't care which way it goes. If he's Cersei's, fine. If he's whatever. If it's actually a bar maiden, whatever, I'm fine with it. It would be kind of an ease high, and if it was Cersei, and then if he had a warhammer and she had a chest full of rubies and they were in the neck, it would be awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm okay with that little bit of fan service, just kind of tying all that together.
It's funny how we especially bookies. I know we're so guilty of it, and I do it too. Like we get like, and then we're like, okay, but this little bit of fan service is okay, right? Like we poo it all over the place, and then we're like, but this one would be great.
So yeah, and here's like for the fan service stuff, I dig the fan service. I'm a sucker for it because you know what? Fine, give it to me because you're not giving me this or this or this or this. You're giving me this little bit. Okay, I'll live with it. I'll take it. I'll accept it.
It's just kind of funny to me.
Yeah, no, I agree though.
Personally, think it's a red herring. One, Cersei has never sang in her life. She doesn't seem like the singing type. Two, you would think she would take a little bit better care of him if she actually loved him, and I do not think Tywin would be in it whatsoever. That would be the heir to the realm. He wants that child. That would be what Tywin wanted. Now, she would do it to keep Tywin from getting what he wanted. Also, he did force her to marry him basically against her will, but I do feel like
she was willing at that point in time. Cersei was willing.
Well, it was a big disappointment to what
because it wasn't Rhaegar. Disappointment, yes, but she was still willing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's the idea that she, from Jacqueline Zilliger, who said, "What if she gave him a way to protect herself from Robert?" Yeah.
Well, I was gonna explain myself, but let me
do it.
I don't remember where the hell I was. So I'll remember. I pulled a JR.
Really easy, quick question. Just because I can remember since it's been a long time since a new episode came out. What time does Game of Thrones air officially? Is it 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern?
Is it? I think it's 9.
It's 9.
9. Okay, 9
Eastern. It usually ends around 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 9 Eastern.
Okay, that's what I thought. And so I was just asked this by our first-time watcher who's getting prepared to, get ready to watch the news. Yeah, and so it was one I just wanted to double-check, and I sent her to the 8 Central, 9 Eastern, so just wanted to make sure I was correct. So, okay, anyway, moving on.
No.
Side note, sorry.
Just feel like we would have seen some influence from Cersei trying to save him from having all the bastards killed as well. And I don't think Gendry needs to be Cersei's child. He can just be legitimized because there aren't really any Baratheons left, at least in the show. Books, you can go another route there, but then if you're going by the prophecy, she's only going to have 3 children. So it would be very cool, though. But I'll just be the devil's advocate here and say no, just because everyone else is saying yeah. That's what I do.
It continues to make the ironicness of the whole thing, even if it is legitimate or not, with when Gendry meets Jon for the first time, and it's like, our fathers were BFFs. It's like, no. In all actual reality, that's the farthest thing from
the truth, but that's the only truth they know, which is
what I love about it. But they both loved your mother. Our fathers both loved your mother.
Yes.
They each like the same woman, so it's like very funny how that goes. But
Eskimo brothers.
I'm Robert Baratheon's son, bastard son, and I told him not to say that. Like, it's such a great Davos moment. I love that. And I told him to say that.
And it's even the funniest thing about it too is that they're third cousins.
Yes, they are third cousins, as Mackenzie conveniently throws.
Yeah.
You went Cylon.
Oh, the fact that there's like the Baratheon blood has the Targaryen blood in it, so it's like people
correct. And that goes back to Robar, to even further back, because they were directly related to the Targaryens in antiquity.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Is it Robar? Yeah, Robar.
I think something. Yeah, because Robar was married
the one-handed
Robar,
the one hand. He was like the
Alyssa?
Jaime Lannister of the day. He was missing a hand after a battle,
Alyssa?
and then he still rode off to Dorne to quell part of them and died in Dorne, I believe.
Was it Johnny? It's Queen Alyssa, right? The one that marries Rogar.
I think so.
Yeah, because she has.
Yeah, Queen Alyssa marries Rogar Baratheon. She dies at the age of 46, giving birth
Eskimo
to
sons. Jesus,
Borman
man.
or
Yeah.
Jocelyn. I think it's Borman. She dies giving birth to.
Something like that. Yeah.
I don't even know how I remember that. There you go, Rain Man moment.
Because we talked about it not that long ago. But
It's beautiful, man. Rain Man.
yeah. So the next scene, because we can kind of talk about it again, is Sansa and Marjorie talk about her childhood dreams about the capital and what life would be like while they walk through the gardens. And Marjorie says to Sansa to make the best of her circumstances and to talk about how Tyrion would treat her preferences, and how children will learn from their mothers, or how the sons will learn from their mothers. And then we might as well just throw this in too, with Tyrion talking to Bronn about Sansa and the quote-unquote problem that he's facing with Shay, and wanting to bed Sansa, but also to appease Shay at the same time. And yeah, because the wedding happens next episode.
Yes.
So we can talk about all the Sansa Tyrion drama, I guess.
Have you ever noticed in the show that Salvador San and Shay say fuck the same way? Like, for some reason, I can't get it out of my head. Every time I hear Shay say, "You want to fuck her?" Like, all I hear is Salvador San say it. "You want to fuck her?" No, I want to fuck her, not rape her. There's still a difference.
I never noticed it, but as soon as you said it, it was like, yep, they both kind of almost have like a 1.5 syllable.
Yeah, it's a weird, I don't know what it is, but it cracks me up every time, because every time she says it, I automatically think of Salvador San.
Yeah, like Marjorie. Some like pretty men, short men, tall men, fat men, skinny men, but all they have to do is know how to appease a woman. Like,
yep.
just so. Yeah, and Sansa, where did you learn that from? Your mother? And she's like, sweet girl. And like, they walk away. It's like.
And so I got to go with my note that I had when we cover this one. That's kind of my one problem with the show, the Dink. You know, Peter Dinklage.
The Dink, yes. Somebody else does the Dink.
He's an attractive fucking dude. I mean,
yes.
He's a good-looking guy. The only problem is he's short. You know, that's it. And so this whole thing that Sansa has an issue with, ask 90% of women, I should say 90, so let's say 50% of women, Peter Dinklage, not being an actor, not being Game of Thrones actor Peter Dinklage, just see him. Yeah, he's short, but that's probably the only issue, you know, they would have. And like Sansa can't get past that. Now, if they had like the true book version of Tyrion in there, okay, fine. He's grotesque, he's lopsided and all that. Okay, I can get the hesitation.
It's a little bit more extreme in the books than it is in the show.
Exactly.
And Peter Dinklage is a good-looking dude. I'm sorry, but that is matter of fact. He's a good-looking dude.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's like that. So that was my one issue with the scenes. Like, and even Marjorie's like, he's a good-looking guy, and he's the best Lannister. Like, even Marjorie's like, just come on, just give it a shot.
Give it a chance.
You can have some fun. And I love Sansa's of, did you learn this all from your mother? Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh,
sure.
my sweet summer child.
Yeah, it's like.
See, and I love Sweet Summer Child because it's turned into like the Westerosi Bless Your Heart.
Bless your
love
heart.
it.
Exactly.
It's totally Bless Your Heart, and I love it. I don't know how many people are here from the South that understand that one, but it cracks me up.
Johnny, what do you think about the Marjorie giving her sisterly advice to Sansa?
I thought it was decent of Marjorie. She's at least being nice. It's still part of the Game of Thrones. She wants to have some sort of control over Sansa. Uh, but she's also giving her some comfort here. And I love how the scenes are backed up together with Bronn giving comfort to Tyrion and Marjorie giving comfort to Sansa about this union. And what she speaks is true. You never know what you're going to get. You can't judge a book by its cover like everybody's saying here. And that's pretty much what I draw from it. Sansa thinks she has another friend, and she semi-does. I mean, even in the books, it's kind of the only person she gets to talk to until after all this shit happens. And then in the books, Marjorie and them don't even talk to her. So this is way off from the book. So
this is where Sansa gets a lot of hate from, in that like really drives me nuts because people fail to understand her character from the books is inherently hard to translate to film because it's a first-person narrative that's an inner monologue of what she's experiencing because she can't talk at King's Landing without losing her head. So she's inherently an internal character, and she gets a bad rap on the show because she's lame or whatever. Like, oh, I hate Sansa, blah, blah, blah. Like, nobody cares what you think. Like, get what's going on here. She gets a bad rap.
She's a regular girl, man. She's just a regular girl thrust in horrible situations.
Absolutely. And I've said on this channel, on this stream many a time, season 1 Sansa, book 1 Sansa, I hated her. Just annoying.
Everybody does. You're meant to.
You're supposed to. You're supposed to. But after that, this part of Sansa, you feel for her. Because even in the show, as a non-book reader, you should understand that she does not know who the fuck she can trust. Every time she trusts somebody, she gets screwed over and treated worse and worse and worse.
Or who she is.
What's that?
Or who she is as a person. She doesn't even know that.
Yeah, she's just a stupid little girl that makes every mistake in the world. And we get that line tonight,
and
too.
She says it. Yeah, she says it. Literally says it.
And it's one, and you feel for, like, this is when you're supposed to start really feeling for her because, and so, yeah, the hate that a lot of people are giving her of, show watchers and everything, it's like, come on, think about it. You're in the worst of worst situations you can be in, and you're dealing with it as best you can. You haven't been killed yet. You haven't died yet, and you're just trying to find your way out. And the one nice person to you is somebody that you don't even know if you can trust, like John said, Marjorie, and I honestly do believe Marjorie is being genuinely nice to her to be nice to her. Because I do think Marjorie does have that kind streak in her. I think she's playing.
This is outside of the game for Marjorie, honestly. She is being kind to Sansa because she understands what she's been through.
Exactly.
And I think this is actual kindness. I don't think this is manipulation or game.
No.
I think this is genuine.
I do too. I do think there's, in the long run, like, hey, if she makes it out of it, hey, I still got my friend in the north. I can, do all this. But I think it's genuinely, like, that might be like a 10% kind of thing in her head. 90%, it's like, hey, this girl just needs some help. She just needs some comfort. And I'm the only one here that can do that for her. So I think it's just the womanly, kind person thing to do. You see somebody in that situation. And I think Marjorie is stepping up to the plate to be that. Then again, there's that 10% of, I'm going to make sure she's still on my side and I'm still friends with her. But in the long run, I think it's just her just trying to be kind.
And in the books, they're trying to marry her off to Marjorie's older brother.
Yeah.
Willis.
Willis. Yeah. Willis, whatever. Anyway, that's who they're trying to marry her off to. And it's not Loras at all.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You have to remember Sansa. Oh, sorry. You have to remember Sansa is still key to the north at this point as well. So
correct.
They don't think the game is over.
She's still a pawn on the board too. She's not a player yet. She's a pawn.
Yeah, they haven't been wed yet. So there's still an opportunity to break it up. She's still going to keep her close. There's still things she can learn from Sansa. Sansa confides in her. So I would say it's more than 10%. In my opinion, it's at least 50-50. Because Marjorie even admits all the nice things she does is for appearances to gain ground. So
which she later admits in the show when she's being held captive by the Seven and the Faith Militant.
Yeah. No, that's very well, very true.
Yeah, and then the uncomfortable kind of conversation that Tyrion had to have in the last episode, where he kind of tries to make it up to Shay by trying to give her some gold chains and how he'll have to give her a comfortable life, but she's like, yeah, this comfortable life isn't going to happen because their grandparents will want to murder them the moment they're born, pretty much, in terms of Shay and Tyrion having a relationship outside of the Red Keep, which is kind of the thing of Tyrion doesn't know what to do. It's like you have your side piece, and then you have the one that you're engaged to, and you don't know how to deal with both of them because they're now friends enough. So he's dealing with it as best as he can.
Okay, so the chat's banging on Sansa's age. So yes, she is young, and I feel like we already covered this a bit.
Yeah.
Yes, but quit putting in morals from modern era into what is obviously a historical text where people didn't live past 25, 30 years old, where 39 was considered an old man by and large.
Yeah, Mr. Aemon is a dinosaur.
Yeah,
right. In a rarity at that. I mean, they should have released him from his Night's Watch vows based on 3 lifetimes of service. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
it's the only humane thing to do at this point.
He's the only character to have died of natural causes on the show.
Right? He's a boss of Game of Thrones. He died of natural cause. I mean,
son of a bitch. I never thought of that. Okay. Fair. That never occurred to me.
He's the only character to have died of natural causes because the rest of them it's stab, poison, beheadings, all of that other stuff.
And everything else,
Yeah. Jacqueline Ziegler says here her age also explains her fear, though, and that's a good point.
It's true. And plus, everything's been made to do about her having a period so that she can bear sons, so that Joff can get her pregnant, so that, I mean, there's a whole litany of things that are going on in this. Like, it's not just her age, it's the entire set of circumstances that are put in front of her that she has to deal with on a daily basis.
To be fair, every girl has to grow up really fast in this. Every person has to grow up really fast in this world, except the really coddled people.
This world does not care what sex you are. I mean, as far as how you're going to grow up.
I mean, perfect example. You look at Bran he's 9 in the books, even because like this line in the books is like, I'm 9. I'm almost a man grown. You know, you're looking at it, and it's technically they look at 16 as the man grown, but at 9 years old, he's already like, I'm the man. I'm almost man grown to be the Lord of Winterfell and do all this. So on that end, you look at it by the time you hit 12, especially from the female perspective. Okay, I'm ready to bear children and do my job. And and it falls to kind of not trying to cut back, but to the Tyrion the Bronn scene of where Bronn's like, she's old enough and you want her. She is cute. She looks good, you know, and Tyrion's like trying to stave it off, but he knows he's right. He knows, you know, Bronn is, you know, telling the truth that he does kind of want that, you know, even if it makes him feel icky, for lack of a better term. But he's like, yeah, okay. And I can see that because the way they're designed and bred and made and raised by that age, she's not a child, quote unquote, but she is, you know. And so it's kind of, it's a very interesting, and I'll take a shot for it, but an interesting take on, you know, the whole dynamic. And this scene plays up. I think these scenes were designed specifically to help the TV viewers figure out, okay, this is in this realm. Okay. Don't forget, this is okay. You know, and it sucks, even though it might seem icky to you in this social society,
in this world. And that's the one thing that you have to remember. This is a high fantasy tract. I mean, this is high fantasy at its finest that takes every trope and turns it on its head. This is not Tolkien. This is not Anne McCaffrey. This is not Terry Goodkind. This is not any number of other authors that like to play with the inside of the tropes or the rules of it. This is George R. R. Martin, and he is going to give it to you raw and dirty because he sees the world for what it is and wants to make sure that people understand that just because you're sheltered or have blinders on, there is still a world out there that is very much not our society, that it still exists out there. I mean, if you want to talk about slaving, if you want to talk about any number of issues, social issues that exist in the world, most Westerners have absolutely no idea what the epitome of that is and what it actually looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Very few, and I'm glad there's very few that have had to see it. I mean, from sex trafficking to starvation to food as a weapon and power to any number of things. I could not begin to explain to you the atrocities that I've seen across the fucking globe.
Exactly.
And now people want to worry about what's going on here. It's like, we are really not that bad off, guys.
Yeah. And JR, I would, to your point, I want to say, George has said the one thing he kind of regrets about the story itself is not aging up the characters a bit, like starting them off so young. But I disagree with that. I mean, I know he's the creator of his own thing and he can feel bad about it. But just to exactly to your point of this was reality at some point in our society, you know, in our history. And so it's I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, and also this, I mean, you know, it's an anti-war theme, the whole book. But another theme in this book that I get, it makes me glad and thankful for what I have. That I don't have to live in a cruel world like this. That I'm not thrust in a state of survival at all times. I really gain a lot of that from this. Just being thankful for what you have. I don't know if I can put it any better than that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we can finally, I guess, touch on the Shea Stadium and
your favorite characters.
And I've been kind of waiting for this. So I just have a question. I put this out there. Are we honestly supposed to feel bad for Shea? I mean, you literally shoehorned yourself in to come with him to King's Landing, and now you're like, I don't care what they say. I'll be your whore. You can fuck whoever you want. Blah, blah, blah. This is the epitome of my hatred for show Shea. I actually don't mind book Shea. Book Shea makes sense to me, you know, to the point. Show Shea, it just pisses me off so much. And this is the epitome where she's pissed off at Tyrion for being forced to be married to Sansa. Book Shea was like, you fuck her, give her a baby, you know, cool, and you can still have me.
Yours, and you're still mine.
Exactly. And it was like, okay, cool, we're on same page. Rock on. This is no, you can't. You know, you just want to fuck her. She's a child. Really, it's just so they missed the mark so much with it. And this actress, she's not the worst actress in the world. I'm not a fan of her.
Sibel is an absolute sweetheart, though. I will tell you that from personal experience.
And I get that.
She's amazing.
I've seen interviews with her. She seems like a great person. It's just the way and I think it's the writing. I think it's what she was given. She had to work with what she's given, so I can't really hold it against her. But it's just every delivery just seemed forced and just not genuine to a point of, I don't know. It didn't land right with me. I guess it was mostly the writing, like what she was saying, because I was more book wise of, no, you're supposed to be cool with this. That's why the hurts even more later on, because you were cool with this whole situation up here. The shit you pull next season, that hurts even more. Now it's like, now you're just vindictive. And I don't know. I'll get that.
I'm confused by LMR's statement. The stream has more L substitutes.
I guess like the eggplant emojis.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, now that makes more sense.
That's what I'm guessing it is.
Yeah, you're looking at me because I hadn't been looking at the chat for a minute. So okay, that makes sense.
It's like a competition now, I guess, between Bubba and.
Yeah, I know. But I'm sitting here looking at the chat, going, "What the crap? I don't get it."
Yeah. So anyway, as always, hashtag and Shea rant.
Yeah, and Shea rant.
I agree. And Shea in the book is by far different, and let alone that it's a chain, not a pin that the hand of the king wears. And I mean, there's all sorts of errors that we can compare and contrast between the two, which is fine.
Absolutely.
Whatever. Yeah. Sibel Khaligi is an absolute sweetheart. She is absolutely hilarious. Super personable. She was given what she got. The character of Shea was written in that way by the writers and showrunners. There's not much she can go with it.
And that's fair. That's completely fair. And I shouldn't really hold it against her. It felt like it just didn't work.
It didn't match. No, it didn't. No, and it doesn't. And you're absolutely right. I completely agree with that.
So I really can't hold it against her. She did. She, like you said, she did what she was written.
I could say that I saw it kind of coming, her getting attached, her loving the city, her wanting to rise up in status. And to me, what are we supposed to feel for Shay? I don't think it's that. I think we're supposed to feel worse for Tyrion in this moment. That, my God, what the hell has he gotten himself into at this point? Now, yes, I'm defending some shitty stuff, but I'm trying to defend it. Someone has to do it. We can't sit here and say I agree the whole time, so I have to be the asshole every now and then. So I can say I saw this, especially with her, how she loves the shit and dead bodies and comes. It's just weird. But she does seem to have these aspirations, but it throws you so off how awesome and nice she is with Sansa. That just fucking blows my mind to a point where, yeah, I agree with you to an extent, but also I can see how they set that up, but they were sloppy with it.
Yeah, but they're trying to portray her as falling in love with her and her innocence and all the things that Shay's not anymore is really the kind of what they're trying to plead to. And it works for a while in the show, and then you understand that she's actually trying to protect Sansa by and large. And you kind of get that same vibe from Esme Blanco, who is Roz in the show, and Roz trying to warn off and say, you know, who's doing what and what's doing who, and tells Shay, hey, you need to watch out for her, especially around him. So,
yeah, it's Shay's got a crazy, but this shows really the sowing of the seeds of what Shay does, which is like Tyrion's kind of ultimate betrayal of not just sleeping with him, but sleeping with his father.
Which is way worse, right? I mean, I don't even know what to do with it. Although y'all are making me very, very hungry in the chats because all of a sudden I want an eggplant taco, and I don't know why.
Eggplant taco.
It's pronounced taco.
Yeah.
Taco.
I think we kind of reached the the last kind of scene of this because it's Joff. After Tyrion talks to Bronn about Sansa, it's Joffrey on the Iron Throne when Tywin, walks into the room and it completely changes, and they talk about pretty much how Tywin does his work in the Tower of the Hand, and Joffrey basically throws a first world Westeros problem of not being able to walk up the flights of the stairs of the Tower of the Hand.
Well, we can have you carried up if it suits. Yeah, it's a great scene.
And it's just
that little bastard.
They talk about Dany's dragon.
Eggplant cacos. I'm a big fan of eggplant cacos. What can I say?
Hashtag one of the new hashtags of everything. Yeah. But
hashtag
fish tacos,
more eggplants than tacos. I think we need a more even amount, Sasuke. Like 1-to-1 ratio here.
There's so many. But
there's so many jokes to make about it. Never stop. Okay. Back on track here. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
When Grandpa schools grandson in the act of being hand/being king.
And putting him to bed.
Double time grandson.
Yeah.
And he gets the
grandson. Super grandson? I don't know. Does he get a cape for that?
I would think grandsons.
Grandson, plural.
He's a grandson from one and a grandson from another.
Yeah, what's the incest language for that? I mean, there's got to be some kind of subculture that has an answer for this, right? I mean, I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got nothing.
I just want to call him a man baby.
Yeah, giant baby pussy. Giant baby.
He's baby Huey the entire time. Anybody that says king is never truly king. Now go to bed with some milk of the poppy and shut your mouth.
Now my question for that is, how many times did Dany call herself queen? Just leaving that there.
Yes. Anyway. Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. And I loved it that Charles Dance got to deliver that line, and then you get to hear Dany babbling on about, well, I'm the queen, I'm the queen, I'm the queen, I'm the queen. Yeah. Like, she says it more than mine. There's a seagull in Finding Nemo, right? Like, come on.
Nice. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what she's done. She's told herself all these things over and over and over again. And when you start to believe your own lies, that's when you get in trouble.
Oh, absolutely. This is where you get in big trouble. You start believing your own bullshit.
Oh yeah. Oh well, it's kind of like when the legend outweighs the truth, print the legend. Sorry, one of my favorite quotes of all time.
Yeah.
So.
I think that whole "I am the king" speech that Joffrey goes to is episode 10 of season 3.
That is 10.
It's like, I am the king, and then it's like, anyone who must say I am the king is no true king.
Yeah. So a great line from this series, or from this episode here with Joffrey, is like, but I haven't been counseled. You're being counseled right now.
Right now.
You know, it's like, you're welcome to come to the council meeting.
And he walks up the stairs too. And that Tywin swagger of, go fuck yourself. I've been doing this my entire life, you little shit. And he just owns it in that scene. I love it. I love Charles Dance.
Agreed. But now, another thing I caught is Tywin's refusal to believe in, it's almost the Maester level refusal to believe in the magical realm, where Joffrey's like, what about this Daenerys Targaryen with the dragons? And Tywin's like, do you remember the last dragon? His head was the size of a golf ball, or the size of a
chicken egg.
Apple.
No. What did he compare it to? I can't remember.
An apple.
Apple. That's
it. Yep. There we go.
The size of an apple. And then
I had to say, I was trying to think so hard of something medieval. I'm like, what would they have had? Oh, an apple. Yeah, great.
I was like thinking a tennis ball.
You saw what they did to Payat Pri, right? You don't need a big dragon. I don't know why it's so not. They were deformed and chained up, and I went into this thing about Balerion being chained, and maybe that's why he died, because he got chained up in the dragon pit after Rhea Targaryen took off with him. So I think
exactly. I don't know. And it's kind of like I said. It's going back to the Maester Lewin refusal to believe Bran of these, the Raven dreams, and it's just
the prophetic dreams that he's having.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing of with Tywin of it's not going to happen. There's no bend to the belief world of it, even though Tywin literally saw a live dragon. I believe I believe the last one died probably before Tywin was around. I'm sorry.
It's about 100,
but just barely.
Okay.
150 years.
Yeah, well, in the grand scheme of things in Westeros, I mean, 50 year. Yeah, I mean, it was very little bit that Tywin missed out on it. It wasn't by much.
He did see the proof that they were real, and he should have known, because Tyrion
they were in the throne room before Bobby B took over.
Yeah, but here's the thing: Tyrion knows that the only reason why they were that small was because they were captive. She's got free dragons. He should know she has free dragons, so they're probably going to be bigger than what he's aware of or used to. And it's just that refusal to, and it might just be a grandpa being like, okay, yeah, grandson, I know what you're saying, okay, blah, blah, blah. She's blowing him off, and then in the back of his head saying, oh shit, this might actually be a problem, but we don't get that knowledge from Tywin.
Not to get the biblical side of it, but the biblical comparison here would be doubting Thomas, right? Yeah. He believes what he sees, and instead of faith, right? And that's kind of what it is all these characters that are kind of wanting to believe, but lack the proof or have to be shown, are set in their ways in a manner that they're unable to believe outside of what they can see, which is very much the parable of doubting Thomas.
Fair. Yeah, no, absolutely. They just need a trip to imagination land.
So. Exactly. Is it in the realm of possibilities for them? No. But for any of us on the panel would be, and even in that world, given that set of circumstances, would go, Maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's quick dismissal of it. Maybe just to get Joffrey to stop thinking about it and not have him send someone to go do something stupid to cause more trouble in one of these free cities.
Like the cat's paw dagger.
Yeah. I think he has it stored away, but he's a man that deals with what's in front of him. Yes, he plans ahead and makes smart plans, but Dany isn't the threat right now, and he needs to focus on what is. And
which was Bobby B's mistake, which was there's a number of mistakes that were made throughout Westeros based on worrying about paper tigers, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and in fairness, Bobby Bede actually didn't make the mistake. He wanted to deal with her. He just let Ned decide, okay, call it off.
But going back to Ned in this one is, why is he so adamant on it? Is it actually to protect the Targaryen, or is it that he doesn't think it's actually a risk, or is he trying to save the last pieces of his nephew's lineage?
What do you think, Kenzie? You need to talk, son. You've been quiet over there.
It's probably a little bit of all of it. It's probably protecting Jon, as that's Leon's dying wish was to have Jon be protected. It's saving his technical, for all intents and purposes, brother-in-law's family, and doing what is right, as probably the only person who can do whatever he can. Because Ned brings up that whole thing of it's killing a child, and like this child's so far away they'll probably never show up here, and Robert just doesn't care. And the fact that it's almost weird that he is so angry at Rhaegar and Rhaegar's family, even though it's technically not like 100%, but it's technically his own family as well. It's like I think it's like his great grandmother was a Targaryen, so it's just like the weirdest thing that he kind of goes through. It's like a personal internal crisis that he has to deal with. But yeah, it's the fact of Joffrey not knowing like how to deal with Daenerys, even though she's so far away. But Tywin's like, we have people to take care of that. We have people to tell us everything about that, being Varys. For a time being, it was Jorah until he got the royal pardon. But there's probably still spies everywhere. Like Varys most definitely has spies in probably Asapor, Yunkai, somewhere else, because
everybody loves Joe Varys, and I'm sitting here going, you know how many kids his tongues he's cut out?
Mm-hmm. And Varys from Mir, because he talks about that, and like
in the show we don't know, but yeah, I like Varys. I don't think he's a good dude, but I think
but he is very much what he says he is. He is a man of the realm, and he takes the necessary precautions to protect him and the realm for what he believes to be the best case scenario for the realm. And that I do actually enjoy about Varys' character a great deal.
Yeah, that's what I like about him. He is ruthless to a point, but only if he has to be.
If it serves the greater realm, and that's when he does it. And so he wields authority, but he doesn't do it with impunity. He does it with masking his movement.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Varys and the hashtag is John Fagon. Who knows? We finished the episode, so we can kind of wrap up in a sense, like final thoughts on the episode.
Do we get to go free balling now?
Yeah,
let JR and Ben free balling. Yeah. We got these special guests. I do like 14 podcasts a week on Episode Club. I'll let y'all go at it. I'll throw out some quick funnies. I mean, you and Ben are trying to go for the slight same haircut, Bob's Big Boy style. So we'll see what's going on
there. Do what?
The hair, your hair.
The hairstyle. No, but JR's got more of the straight widow's peak. Mine's kind of running to the left, so I run to the right. You can't
help that. I'm just generalizing it here.
Well, the whole thing with my hair is I still cuff my jeans, for Christ's sakes, and wear Chuck Taylors, all right? I was just born in the wrong decade. See, that's all it comes down to.
My problem with my hair is I shaved my head for so fucking long. I'm finally like, okay, I'm gonna let it grow out, and I fucking can't.
Realize you're bald?
Well, I've known I was bald. I was just like, I got one last ditch effort, and gotta let it go.
It's not going. Yeah. So it's like anything you want to bring up.
Hashtag come over.
Yeah, just anything we want to bring up, because we've completed the episode, so we've done our job. So
yes. Road holler, yes, it does.
Yeah.
It's going commando here too, or regiment if you prefer.
And it's befitting of what we talked about today, anyway. So.
Right. I mean, we just need more. Yeah. Never mind.
Theon started going free balling. He's doing well for it.
Yeah, him, the Unsullied, Varys. I mean, they're all. I mean, woo, rocking it, free balling.
And if only Egret
has a gash.
And
sitting here
and
fearing
if
my
only
gash.
Egret had gotten what she wanted when John betrayed her was to cut him off. Was to cut his dick off, so then wear it around her neck. If only that had happened.
You just threw me off guard by saying dick.
But yeah, like it would have been even funnier. But then the joke of in season 6, episode 2, when Tormund talks about John's eggplant, I guess, and then he goes, "It's very small."
He's like, "You're not a god. They think you're a god. I know you're
not
not
a
a god. I've seen your dick. No god would have a dick that small.
Dick that small. Yeah, it's hilarious.
No one would ever remember that small."
Peter Griffin says, "How's it hanging, everybody? Short, shriveled, and always to the left. That's me."
It's not my fault. I jerk off with 2 fingers and use my tears as lubricant.
I live in a place where my Audi becomes an innie if it's too cold. So
there you go. And you heard it here
can't
first.
say anything.
Mackenzie's like, I'm not saying a damn thing.
I don't. Oh, Subjustina Secrets gives this episode 8 out of 10 well-read high school health textbooks. Oh yeah, Jar, we usually give the episode a ranking.
Something funny, like I think one of my last one was Theon coin purses, like 7 out of 10 Theon coin purses or something. You know, whatever you can think of that happened in the episode that you think may be funny. You know, if you bomb, it's okay. I do it all the time.
And Sasek says 9.65 sex ed chats.
Yeah, Otila Angel says it's 8.25 on the Rickon scale.
On the Rickon scale, that's awesome.
The Rickon scale. Yeah, there's so many. And then poor me, yes, poor me. But this has been
poor Mackenzie, so yes, funny. Poor Mackenzie.
Like, I welcome it because the majority of the time it's just me by myself on #team woman most of the time. Anyways, there's the odd time where somebody else. Like
I feel like we held up the totem of team woman. I mean, we were very equal opportunity here.
Yeah.
No, I meant in terms of like those weird like the dick jokes and all that stuff, or like
you held your own on that one.
Yeah. The whole thing with Bubba, like, how's it or not? Peter Griffin, how's it hanging? I'm just like, well, I can't really contribute to that conversation, but hey,
well, never mind. I'm not even gonna go there.
But, yeah, whatever you want, we can talk about now.
Can I talk about the one thing I'm most pissed off about the show setting up and never going to give us a payoff on? Because it has to do with Varys's gash. How about dickhead in a box? Like, we're never going to know what happened to Wizard in a box. He's just sitting in King's Landing rotting for all we know, and it sucks. I really wanted payoff on that.
Yeah, he shows up in episode 5, and we never see him again. It's like
nothing. What? And then Varys, skips off with Tyrion across the narrow sea, and we're never going to know what happened to Wizard in a box and why the blue flames blew from the pyre when his cock was thrown on it. We're never going to know.
Yeah, no.
And that makes me very, very mad.
We may. I'm going to give it a 5% chance. We may because of
make me a believer. Come on, Ben.
Because I can't remember her name. God damn it. The other Red Witch, the not
Navarra.
She says, do you remember what he said in Kinvara. You remember what you heard when Kinvara, yeah. Do you remember what you heard in the flames when you remember it was burned? So there's somebody else that knows.
What was said?
I have no idea what was said. I'm just saying there's somebody else in the universe that knows. So I'm going to give it a 5% shot. I do believe we're never going to hear. We're never going to know. It's going to be, but I'm going to give it a 5% hope that maybe they break it out just to do that. It's just like saying, I don't think we're ever going to get the end of the joke of I brought a fucking honeycomb, a donkey into a tavern. The honeycomb and the donkey joke.
Oh, I know the end of that joke. I know the whole joke.
Okay.
Have you guys not heard this? Oh, okay. Man, I thought I've told everybody that. Okay. So Tyrion walks into the brothel with a honeycomb and a jackass and gets asked, well, why are you bringing those into a brothel? Says, well, my wife was walking down the beach and kicked over a lamp. And a genie came out because, of course, they have genies in Westeros. and she was granted 3 wishes. So for the first one, she said, I want a home fit for a queen. Poof. She got a honeycomb. It's fit for a queen.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So then she asked that she wanted the finest looking ass in the realms. Poof. Got a donkey. And then so that Tyrion gets to sit back and wait for this to come to him because people are simpletons in Westeros, especially the innkeepers, apparently. They let hot pie brown butter and do all sorts of weird things. So she asked, well, what was the third wish? And he obliges and says, well, her third wish was that I had a cock that hung down to my knees. Innkeeper says, well, that can't be that bad. And Tyrion gets all infuriated and says, can't be that bad. I used to be 6'3". Ba-bam! That's for the joke.
There you go.
There we go. Hey, nice. Cheers.
See, I'm not even going to do anything. I will just give my rating real quick because that was a fantastic joke. I think I can't add anything more to that. I would give this 8.5 kinky Kyburn cuddles. I think that's a really good thing. I mean, I just like always want to have Kyburn in my arms, you know. So this guy, I mean, don't you know he watches people as they sleep? He's got to be one of those characters.
Oh, yeah.
So what you're saying is he's a very hit song from the 80s by Sting.
Yeah.
He'll be watching you.
So I'll go with my rating, and I will go agree with you, Johnny, of 8.5, but Slick Baby Seals for mine. 8.5 Slick Baby Seals for this episode. I knew
you picked that one, you sick bastard.
That's fine. I take the low hanging fruit. I don't care. I'm not funny. I admit it. I know that.
And I'm gonna give this episode 7 right hands.
There you go. 7 right hands. Mine for this episode's 8.75.
Obviously eggplants. It's been the theme of the night.
I could say that, but I didn't write it down, but it was like 8, I guess 8.75 Theon eggplants. Chopped up eggplants. There we go.
Sack, don't go confusing my story with your facts, okay? Doesn't work that way.
And Tyrion's taco turmoil. You can use that one too.
Oh, there you go. Tyrion.
It's one letter and some funny words.
Taco turmoil. So
eggplant tacos for everybody.
Yep, rating is eggplant out of taco. So.
Eggplants out of taco? Well, that doesn't sound like a lot
Edmure's eggplant entrapment. Boom, I'm on fire.
So Sasuke gives this episode 9.65 butts or 9.65 pink dresses. Julianne gives this episode 9.5 wizards in a box, or Sasuke also gives it, or Ramsey trumpets, the same 9.65 Ramsey trumpets. Yeah, or
Clarissa Thompson gives it 8 out of 10 eggplant tacos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or the Rickon scale is always the gold standard with Julian.
Exactly.
So, we might as well talk about where everybody can find Gentlemen on other platforms and such. What streams you have coming up, other projects, yada yada yada. Your lovely stuff. So
I'll go first because I have something to plug really fast, and I'll do it really quick so I can be off here. Cylon Johns, 9 p.m. Eastern, Season 2, Episode 5, The Farm. Come check it out. The Cylon Jills are going to duke it out on the panel, and it's going to be a great time. You'll definitely want to check out the new format I've got going there. So smooth and fun. Come interact with us. Saturday, Fire and Blood, the Dying of the Dragons, Chapter 12, The Greens and the Blacks, will be covering on Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, with Lauren's Corner, Mackenzie L. Burns, and John St. Baptiste. So we're going to have a hot panel there. Definitely check that out. Tomorrow, I'm taking the whole day off. Do not PM me. I have to not look at a computer for a bit because it's been 10 days of the same thing JR has been doing today. I can't handle it anymore. No, I'm going to take a much needed break. I love you all in the chat. Thank you, Mackenzie, for having me on. Thank you, my awesome friends, for being on this panel. It was a pleasure. And that's all I got to say about that.
So I'll go with mine really quick. So this week I got a lot coming up, and next couple of weeks we got a lot coming up. Tomorrow night we are actually re-premiering our season 7 episode 1 chat that we had back when it first aired. So Drinks and Nose, literally, I think it's probably like 4 hours long of us getting shit-faced. We're just re-airing it with me and Luke and probably Abby in the chat. We're just kind of going to chat about it. But right before then, Abby is going to be doing a 20-minute just, hey, here's my first initial reaction, thoughts. And we're going to be doing that every week now coming up through season 7. Since we already recorded it, we don't want to re-record rehash old stuff, so we're going to do that. We'll be in the chats hanging out with that, and then Saturday we are recording season 7 episode 1 for our current with the rewatch with Aziz and Sean from A History of Westeros. They'll be joining us as our special guests for that. Next week I'm joining Mackenzie as well. We should be covering the Red Wedding, correct? Yes, so we should be covering the Red Wedding, which will be a fun one. And I told her from the beginning, if there's one episode I want the Red Wedding because catfight. So we'll be getting into that next week. I'm hosting Citadel Trivia on Friday night, and then Saturday night we're covering season 7 episode 2 with Bridge 4 as well. So and I think there's a couple other probably things that I'm missing throughout there, but just keep a track on Drinks and Nose, YouTube and everything. And we're going to be getting drunk a lot. So prepare your livers for the next 12 weeks because you're going to have to keep up.
That's pretty fantastic. And Ben, I'd like to officially congratulate you on your Geek Chat 1 trivia win, since heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I do appreciate that. And it earned me a wrench on your screen, on your channel. Which,
yeah. You got a spanner out of it.
Yeah, I did. And it's a lot of fun. And I that's the one thing I'm good at with this whole realm. I'm not good at theory crafting. I'd come up with random bullshit. Trivia, that's my game. So, but again, Citadel stuff and everything, or if Geek Chat, I'm kind of hoping the next trivia one, since I won the last one, I can kind of help you guys plan out the next game. I don't even know.
Yeah, we're going to have to change it up because that didn't work quite as well as we had thought it would. It's
yeah.
It pretty much has to be live is what we figured out.
Pretty much, but I'm happy to jump in and help you guys out with that.
No, that would be fantastic. It's not that we're not a trivial channel. It's just really for fun and giggles and bragging rights inside of the group itself.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so you can find me tomorrow night. I'll be on In Deep Geek with Robert, and we're breaking down the character of Cersei Lannister. So that should be a good discussion. That will be at 6 o'clock Eastern and 11 o'clock GMT for anybody who's still here on GMT time, although I hope you're not. As always, I'd invite you to come and join the chat on Geek Chat 1, where we continue these conversations after we have these episodes on everybody's channel. You can always talk theories, craft with us, and ask for content that you want to see. It's about you guys having a place to sound off and talk to multiple creators from across the realms, as it were. It's not just Game of Thrones and Geek Chat 1. We talk about everything from Westeros to the Outer Planetary Alliance and the OPAs and the Baratnas that are all hanging out in here, right? So always catch us there, and please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to see Kyle as Kyle Lisi on Friday. So we got that going. Mackenzie, thank you for having me on, and Mods doing an outstanding job in the chats, and thank you, chat, for being so great and asking poignant questions.
Exactly. Well, you can find me here, where next Wednesday we will be doing The Red Wedding, aka The Reigns of Castamere. At some point, probably near the end of this week, we will be covering, probably Johnny and I, and maybe somebody else, The Second Sons, aka Dario 1.0's first episode. And we'll do that. Probably podcast out because it's so easy to do that. And then we'll just be full-fledged into season 4. So we're trying to figure out when to do which episodes podcast and when to do them live. So if you want a special one live with some special guests, let me know and I will figure that out most definitely. Cylon Johns is where you can also find me, Johnny's channel, and we'll have to do the now aforementioned every appendage, I guess, best of stream, and so on and so forth. And with that, we will leave you all for next Wednesday as a live one. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Salancha.